Welcome back, friends. So we continue our thread of the poem God's Labor. We had come up to 11th stanza. Now we'll take up the 12th one. Up till now, you know that God had dreamt about it, wanted to bridge the rainbow bridge between earth and the heaven, come across this so many difficulties, going in the nether world, facing these titan and absurd worlds, fights, transforms, and now we go to the 12th one. The truth of truths men fear and deny. The light of lights they refuse. To ignorant gods they lift their cry, or a demon after choose. See, the man is still confused in this state. Sri Aurobindo is writing, what a perfect and practical analysis Sri Aurobindo is doing it. His complete command of understanding man's behavior and reason for his perils. Sri Aurobindo knows completely why the man having perils and pains. What we had seen in the earlier stanza, the same misfortune is extended here with clear picture of man's behavior. Earlier also we had seen it. The God says, I have brought divine truth for you. He says to them, I have brought divine truth for you. Open yourself, feel it, enjoy the beauty of divine. But alas, the man is afraid to taste. His eyes are blinded because of bright lights of the truth. He denies to recognize. He chooses to confine and satisfy with a small, fragmented truth. His fears cannot cross the boundary. He is enjoying his own limitations. So, he is satisfied with the fragmented truth. He is confused and is a patient of depression, looks like that. Man looks depressed. He cries and complains to his gods, who are not absolute, not at the supreme consciousness level. So they are unable to help the struggling humanity fully. Ultimately falls prey of demons. And then where man goes? Prey of demons. His inner and hidden animality surfaces in crisis, and then drag himself away from divinity. This is the analysis Sri Aurobindo is doing for the inner world of the man. Our poet is putting a real picture of manifested world, and human being is just few lines. He says about the capacities of the human being, which is absolutely negligible or nothing absolutely. And what a mastery of poetry, through which he expresses his inner and unique experiences. He pours out his treasures. Sri Aurobindo, without any reservation, gives us entire treasure which he has gained through his tapasya, long-standing tapasya. He gives us. What we have to do, we must have the aspiration to receive that thing. We must have the receptivity. We aspire more and more to receive His grace. We go ahead. Stanza 13. All that was found must again be sought. Each enemy slain revives. Each battle forever is fought and refought through vistas of fruitless lives. The Lord has created. I really enjoy Sri Aurobindo's writing. The Lord has created divine life, but then it is lost. It's lost in experimentation. Now it must be regained by the continuously slaying the inner and outer enemies. It must be regained by slaughtering the enemies. The enemies are all there, outer world as well as inner world. The lost lights must be come back. The fragrance of eternity is the right to time, right of time-bound earth. The fragrance of eternity is the right of this time-bound earth. It must be won back. The enemies Sri Aurobindo is mentioning are the all absurdities and egoistic nature, lust and falsehood, death and disease, pains and untruth. These are all nasty fellows and inborn capacity to come back after being erased. Even if once you erase them, they come back. You don't have right to rest that once it is erased. They are like Rakta Bija. It comes again and again. We cannot take it for granted. So we have to be always vigilant, continuously. The laboring God, our laboring God, that you know that the laboring God is a part of the divine which is laboring, which has taken the birth in this human clay, who has plunged into this inconscient to transform into truth consciousness, is now assessing the situation at the battlefield. He finds ways to win after knowing the cause of pains and sufferings. Although being almighty, knows all and can control, however, he honors the laws of lower hemisphere also. So decides to strategic plan to fight and refight till the success is achieved. The bugle is now blown now. Sri Aurobindo has achieved victory after continuous fighting and laboring for us. Now the bugle in Kurukshetra, Panchajanya is already blown between the Lord and the Lord. We go ahead. My gaping wounds are 1001. My gaping wounds are 1001, and Titan kings assail. But I cannot rest till my task is done and wrought the eternal will. The war has started now, and laboring God gets wounds. From whom? From humans, from Titans, and increasing wounds. The gap increases between the wounds, but he does not bother. He goes on battling for the mission he has undertaken joyfully. The Lord is seated in the heart of man, fight against his inner enemies. He is also fighting in our inner world with our inner enemies. Whether we know it or not, his mission is going on. Now how gracious the Almighty is if we think about this. What he did, what he does, and what he will do for beloved humanity. We will be overwhelmed if we know that. How far and how long he will labor for us. Still shall we oppose his help? Shall we still remain passive in this war? Or shall we support? Shall we collaborate? These battles are not seen outwardly by physical senses. They are fought at the subtle levels, at the subtle worlds, and still going on. We human beings at least keep full faith in Lord's victory and cooperate. That is what Sri Aurobindo wants to say through this wonderful poem. We are in the middle of the battlefield, cannot stop. We have got to move, and we move to the next stanza. How they mock and sneer, both devil and man. They hope his chimera's head, painting the sky with his fiery stain. Thou shalt fall, and thou wert lie. Thou shalt fall, and thou wert lie. You see, both devil and man, they are making mockery of the divine. The gracious God is giving all liberties to all. He allows to act even the devils and men as per their nature. While God is laboring with deep love and perseverance, the Asurs and even including human beings, are laughing and teasing the Lord with slang. Look at the imagine. See, Aurobindo, how he can imagine that? That's a wonderful thing. As if challenging the Lord, because they are absolutely ignorant. The God that he will not succeed and his labor will be in vain. It will be fruitless and useless mission. He thinks about it. Indirectly telling the Lord to stop the failing battle and go back. Human beings are telling the Lord, the Titans, telling the Lord that go back, it will be failure. Why do fight the losing battle? We, the demons and men, are happy with our lower consciousness. We love disease and death. What a pity. The one who has sacrificed for humanity, for lifting at higher levels of life and truth, pouring love, the same is refusing. And moving away with, not only moving away, but moving away with mocking jokes, mocking gestures. But Almighty, Lord knows all such stages of His creation. The Lord knows such things will happen. Such things will definitely He has to come across. He knows. He continues His mission and fights. If He leaves in despair, it will be His failure. God cannot afford to leave in despair. Oh, why the hell I should help them? Let me go back. Then it will be His failure. He pardons the mocking puppets by punishing with compassion. I repeat this line. The Lord is pardoned the mocking puppets, that is human being and titans, by punishing with compassion. You go ahead. I hope you enjoy this narration. Who art thou, Babels of heavenly seas, and joy and golden room, to us who are waves on unconscious seas and bound to life's iron doom? Who are they? The confused human question to the Savior Lord is asking. So when the foolish person is there, he does not know the might of the opposite person. So it goes on fighting that. So man, confused, asking. We are happy and content with our inert and inconscious world. We are tied up with cruel laws of life. Who are you to allure us? Man is asking the human being. Who are to divine? Who are you to allure us with heavenly light and happiness? The man knows from within that he is limited in all directions and feels helplessness. Gives up hopes to even change to a rotting state of his life. He is so much helpless that he forgets that he cannot be helped, nothing can be done like that. He is afraid of to open for the divine light brought by the laboring God. Something will happen. He is comfortable with his passivity. He is comfortable with divinity and dullness. He is not willing to come out from the cocoon. He wants to have the closeness. I am happy. Because he is absolutely with fear. Not prepared to have the change. He is miserable and pitiable. The divine is dwelling in him, but the very quality of nether world denies his entry. And he loves to remain in dungeon like insects. In our Gujarati language it is said, one proverb is this, Chhanno kido chhanma j mare. So it's like that, man loves like that. However, if you go very critically, however, there is some breakthrough Aurobindo is bringing in this now. In the earlier stanzas, man with devils mocked and teased the laboring Lord. They made fun of him. The Lord got wounds but continued to fight for the betterment of the ignorant world. In this stanza, we see that the inner subdued and veiled consciousness has started recognizing the Lord. They are recognized. Though not accepting his divine mission and confront the Lord, not accepting the divine mission, not accepting the Lord, but they have started recognizing. The poor and paining man refuses the helping hand. He refuses. That means he refuses to something that which is recognized. So now there is some hope in goal of mission undertaken. The Lord knows, oh, at least I am recognized that I am something. Maybe opposed, maybe fought with me, but at least they are recognizing me. We go to 17. This earth is ours, a field of night. For our pity, flickering fires. How shall it brook the sacred light or suffer the God's desire? The God's labor works up step by step. Now from the completely refusal, it is accepted his presence. The man has accepted the God's presence and its work. So it poses one more question with sarcastic humbleness. That poor earth is our playfield, our comfortable home. We dance of the ignorance of the human beings. How can those foolish creatures can enjoy except the sacred light? See, the falsehood is arguing to the Lord. These foolish creatures, human beings, we are enjoying. They cannot accept your divine light. So go back. The God desires for the suffering of his own creation. Is it possible? Never possible. The inconscient worlds of human are so perverted because of dark and horrible forces that it has lost the clear sight, a truth-related thing and reality. Basically too weak and blind with tamas. It is like a dark matter, black hole. Cannot do it. So tamas, like a black hole. Cannot accept anything. They love poison and refuses to have nectar offered by the divine. They love it. The same type of danger we have seen in stanza number 3. Too frail their ethereal stuff. Too weak this earth is to bear the dazzling light of this heaven. But here in this now, there is a recognition with opposition. That is the improvement of eternal labor. What a patience of our Lord. He is at least happy with the opposition at least. But now we go ahead because ultimately the battle is to be fought. We go ahead. Come, let us slay him and hand his course. Then shall our hearts have to relieve from the burden and call of his glory and force and the curve of his wide, wide peace. The relaxing Satan hiding in us comes out from the inner chamber of man, thinking that his kingdom will be now abolished if men recognizing the divine light. If men recognizing the divine, then his slave will go away and Satan's rule, kingdom will be shattered, will go away, abolished. The Titan is trying to hold his prey, that is human being, calls for fight and crush the Lord. The devil does not say Lord. In this stanza, Sri Aurobindo said he. Devil is telling Lord as he. Come, let us slay him and end his course. The devil is using he for divine. The falsehood ignites the human hearts to stop march towards divinity. The asur knows weakness of man and endures not to be impressed by the glory of the divine light. Sri Aurobindo is presenting wonderfully the fights going on within the inner chamber of man. The inner chamber of man the asur is alluring the divine, alluring the man not to go to divine. The description of the nature and smartness of falsehood is really superb. The beleaguered human easily falls into the ditch of dark worlds. The man becomes benumbed, no capacity to judge his direction for light, no capacity to judge what is good and what is bad for him. The devil as such knows the liberating force of the divine. Devils are knowing this is the liberating force of the divine, but man is not knowing. And misguiding the human consciousness by the tricks, by the mimics. The falsehood mentions wide peace, meaning the reality it has known. The fights, the labor are now at the peak, it seems. Now the fight is out at peak now. Next stanza. But the God is there in my mortal breast, who wrestles with error and fate, and tramples a rod through mire and waste for the nameless immaculate. I will just remind you of the stanza 5 and 6, where the God is involved in the nether world to bring back the lost but not erased divinity. It is lost divinity but not erased divinity in the human being. So it is nether world. Aurobindo, with absolute confirmation, states that God is concretely present and fights against all evils harbored in the inner chamber of the human being, horrible worlds of the humans. He wants to change the ill-fated material world and bring back to heaven. The labor affects the supine consciousness of man. Labor affects the supine. Supine means very passive, it is just lying, inert consciousness of man, which is already there, and glimpse about his presence in his heart, and brings out, like, look, human being, you are not alone, you are not in darkness. The divinity and the divine light is already dwelling in you. The human now knows about his laboring areas filled with filth, waste and ugly. Now human being started knowing what is good and what is bad. May not be able to leave that, but at least he is able to see something, some differences. Stanza 20. A voice cried, go where none has gone, dig deeper, deeper yet, till thou reach the green foundation stone, and knock at the keyless gate. Where this voice cried, here it reminds us the inner journey of Ashwapati in legend Savitri. If you have read Savitri and Ashwapati's Yoga, it is Aurobindo who goes deep and explores the unknown areas and ultimately succeeds. Here in this poem, the same type of thought is beautifully presented. The God who labors gets the call from the God above. The God who is laboring within this human being is getting the call from the above. Says, dig more and more in human consciousness. By continuous drilling in the lower layers, go ahead, and there will be a keyless gate waiting to be opened. The gate is not locked, but there is a gate. Knocking the gate, one will find the platform of all miseries, roots of all sufferings, darkness, falsehood, etc. In that fort, as we told before, the Satan and falsehood are taking the advantage of the human weaknesses, human miseries, all these things. Unless the real cause and root of falsehood is not known, how to find a remedy? This is all because of the falsehood. The man is suffering, okay, but we have to find out the cause of the root, how the falsehood is getting this vitality, how the falsehood works, on which things, which entity it works, it nurtures. Till then we cannot get the remedy. The inconscious layer must be uplifted, transformed into a higher and higher consciousness till it merges with the truth consciousness after taking remedial measures. So this netherworld must be brought on the higher level. It seems that full sync task has started. Up till now it was assessed, planned, and now around all round actions are taking place. Sri Aurobindo is wonderfully narrating this unique experiment taken up by the Supreme through this poem. If we are little concentrated and open, we can even visualize, of course internally, not with the physical eyes, but we can visualize, feel the laboring God works and dwelling in us also. This is the beauty of Sri Aurobindo's poetry. We go ahead, still the battle is going on. I saw that falsehood was planted deep at the very root of things, where the grey sphinx guards the god's riddle slip on dragon's outspread wings. What a picture's description. The reader gets a clear scene of what happening inside, where the god have reached as per the instructions given by the given in the last para by the god above. Sri Aurobindo's presence is never imagined seen to us in just 4 lines. The very description leads us to some another dimensions. Our sharp thoughts, wide imagination, etc. all fall short to understand. Only Sri Aurobindo can reach such depths and have such experience, and above all can express in beautiful words. He says, I saw a falsehood with planted deep at the very root of things. The explorer God, our God is exploring, carry out the order from the above to dig more and more. Here he finds the root of falsehood, a Satan who is the cause of human sufferings, man's inertia, that is tamas. A never drying fountain of untruth was flowing. Never drying fountain of untruth was flowing. It had its own strong kingdom. But surprisingly, the laboring God found that Almighty also, Paratpar, was in an enigmatic sleep there in the nether world. Enigmatic sleep, unmoved, as if not concerned about what's going on. In his presence, the falsehood was ruling some inexplainable paradox to which the human mind cannot understand or imagine. After that keyless gate, in the fort of the Satan, the Paratpar was sleeping enigmatically. In his presence, such things are going on. It's something very wonderful paradox. It shows that the Lord is present even in the nether world. Since the moment of manifestation of material earth, the Lord is already there. He had decided to involve first, but during the course of his journey, the world forgot, lost him. The world lost him and became the prey of the anti-divine forces. The Almighty within us sleeping and guarded by Sphinx, a mythological animal from Egypt, which has the head of woman and body of a lion and huge wings. It stops the visitor, asks the riddles, and if not answered, the visitor is beheaded. It guards the noble race resting inside pyramids. That is the mythological story. Sri Aurobindo narrates such demonic guards. However, our laboring God reaches there, and now let us see what happens. With this, the God has reached now. It's going to have the last nail in that coffin of falsehood. I left the surface gods of mind and life's unsatisfied seas and plunged through the body's alleys blind to the nether mysteries. Sri Aurobindo further described, further plunged in gods, leaving the mental level of consciousness. Sri Aurobindo leaves that mental level consciousness. He left even the vital desire and unsatisfied wishes and started further adventure through the gross, disordered lanes of physical unconsciousness. and reach the lowest world, possible world. Our poem's hero, laboring god, has reached now at the core of the battlefield to unveil the sleeping god, the divinity within. The last few stanzas describe the inner journey and various forces come across by the god, that we know that. Sri Aurobindo, in quest of the real cause of pains of human beings, Sri Aurobindo wants to find out the cause of pains and suffering, has labored hard and with the grace of the Lord able to experience the true nature and various stages of lower consciousness. What a wonderful narration of lower consciousness is given by Sri Aurobindo through this poem, because he has travelled there in a most enlightened way, most awakened state of his mind, and would express so lucidly, so beautifully in this poem about his experience. We go ahead. I had dwelled through the dumb earth's dreadful heat, and heard her black masked bell. I have seen souls whence her agonist part, and inner reason to hell. The God continues to the observation of nether world. He finds the source of agonies of earth here. He hears the cries of earth, lower consciousness, and pain, and etc. And could see that the earth has been captured by the hell. Stanza 24. Above me the dragon murmurs moan, and the globulin voices flit. I have pierced the void where thought was born. I have pierced the void, V capital, where the thought was born. I have walked in the bottomless pit. This is the things, these are the picture of the nether world. So Sri Aurobindo says, our laborer god faces dark faces, hounding sounds, but with perseverance advances into fearful, unknown void and finds the cropping center of thought, where the thought arises. The origin of thought was known at the fathomless depths. With all such obstructions, hurdles, he continues, because he has determined to build the bridge as per his dream. Sri Aurobindo shows us the unseen and unheard truths of horror world. We have never seen or never heard about it because we are ignorant. Horror world, controlling earth's consciousness. After having knowledge about existence of the terrible worlds, we should doubly thank and express our gratitude as deep as possible and constantly to our Lord Sri Aurobindo for his everlasting protection. What we are carrying, that Sri Aurobindo told us, and still we are protected, that is because of his grace. We go ahead. On a desperate stair my feet have trod, armored with boundless peace, bringing the fires of the splendor of God into the human abyss. We go to the second stanza also further together. Stanza 26. He who I am was with me still. All veils are breaking now. I have heard his voice and borne his will on my vast untroubled brow. A beautiful dialogue. A dialogue with whom? With the Almighty above, by laboring God, whose portion is our laboring God. The Lord who had opted to plunge into the earth's consciousness has not lost divinity. It is already there, but for the time being veiled with pleasure. It is veiled with pleasure, deliberately. Now he feels the covered divinity in him is being lifted up. Now the laboring God, after reaching there, now unveils the divinity it has brought, because after all it's Lord. He hears the Almighty wishes and follows as per his command. The God above is now says, now unveil your divinity. You have reached there. This is the adventure of Sri Aurobindo, which he puts before us through this wonderful poem. Sri Aurobindo follows meticulously even without any rational thought or anything, but carries out inner Lord's Adesh. Sri Aurobindo, all these things was getting a sort of an Adesh or sort of an inspiration from the higher worlds. The plot of this poem, the narration, step by step advancement, and giving the justice to the technology of poetry. The 27th stanza we go. The gulf twixt the depth and heights is breach, and the golden waters pour down the sapphire mountain rainbow reach, and the glimmer from shore to shore. We are now smoothly sailing through those beautiful and victorious lines. Victorious lines, I say. Initially, it was found difficult to breathe between earth and heaven, as earth opposed. It was weak to help herself, to bear the golden light, laboring God brought by to bear the golden light. But now, the hidden inner divinity is unveiled. The labor is rewarded. The dark curtain is torn off, and the golden waters from the heaven is now flowing on the earth consciousness. So it is a victory we find. The earth has awakened about its treasure, which was stored since its time of manifestation. New light has been given to the earth. There is a rejoicing dance. There is a taste which was never tasted before. A dream is getting realized. So that is the thing that we are now going towards the end of the poem. But let us see what he has to say on the 28th stanza. Heaven's fire is lit in the breast of the earth, and the undying suns are born through a wonder left in bounds of earth. The incarnate spirit yearn. Now darkness is dispelled. In all directions there are lights and lights only. The sense of eternity is prevailing, and the circling nature of birth is erased. It is no more. It was a bad dream by earth. New spirit has taken over. Old inertia is either destroyed or transformed. Rejoice, O earth, rejoice. No more disharmony and ugliness. The dream paradise, graced by the Almighty, is realized. The divine has won the battle against the falsehood. When the God dreams, it is bound to be crystallized, today or tomorrow. We shall breathe more fragrance of the poem in next stanza. Now, Sri Aurobindo has won the battle. The Lord has won the battle. The netherworld has been already either erased or transferred into the divine light. This is the labor which God had already dreamt in the beginning. Like flames to the kingdom of truth and bliss, down a gold-rayed stairway went the radiant children of paradise, clarioning darkness's end. Its beauty continues. The radiant children are running down like flames of truth and bliss from the paradise. Through the golden stairway, that bridge has been already built up now. How classic narration it is. The reader simply gets into it as if he is seeing and glowing children are coming down on the earth's lap, and earth's darkness is no more. The golden bridge is now engulfed the gulf. Golden bridge, the rainbow bridge, is now engulfed the gulf between the two. The fruits of long and furious battle by the Lord are now available to poor earth. He has won for us. I think that how happy Sri Aurobindo must be when he has made this victory in the poem. And this is the lines are pouring directly from the higher consciousness. And these coming lines are the radiant lines, like radiant children from the heaven. A little more and new life's doors shall be covered in silver light, with its aureate roof and mosaic floors, and a great world bare and bright. Share with the promises that it is now possible to have new life, better life, higher life, if we allow divinity to work without any hurdle, without any mental, vital, or physical hindrances. The doors for the heaven are now unlocked. The bridge is ready. But are we ready? Are we ready to march on that bridge? See, Aurobindo has already constructed. Divine has constructed. The divine is waiting for us. He calls. He lives. Let's put up all ego and falsehood aside, doubts and inertia, inconscience and disharmony. We keep it away. They are not belonging to us at all. They were never. Somehow or other we brought it from nowhere. Now we have understood it, awakened it. They are not for us. We have to keep aside and let us equip with intense faith and total surrender, and constantly offer our gratitude. With certitude we shall march, and with silence we shall wait. With certitude we shall march. Our march is certain, our victory is certain, but with silence also we shall wait if it's desired. Sri Aurobindo has prepared villa with a golden roof and auric floors. Let us go and stay there. Last stanza. I shall leave my dreams in their argent air, for in a raiment of gold and blue, there shall more on the earth embodied and fair, the living truth of you. The realized dreams of the Lord are presented to the earth. The absolute truth consciousness is hovering upon humanity. The grand sacrifice by the Lord has joined the island to the heavenly continent. Now no more deaths, no more decay, no more disease, no more sufferings. Only divine, divine and divine only. So overall, let's conclude these things. What Sri Aurobindo has brought this in 31 stanzas. This is a scenic poem. Let's recollect from the very start to the end. Sri Aurobindo is not only intelligently writing and playing with the words, but being a loving and gracious child of the divine, gets unique topics for writing poetry with his masterly command on poetic words. Sealed by the Lord. Here Sri Aurobindo experiencing the mysterious working of the divine on the consciousness levels of the manifested and even unmanifested worlds. How the divine works on the different levels of consciousness. He feels the labor of God. He, that is Sri Aurobindo, feels the sacrifice of the God. He dreams all these acts of the divine and ultimate results. All these battles, pains, sufferings, hatred, pleasure, victories, happiness were felt one by him. All these things which we went through this poem was felt by Sri Aurobindo. He was a participator in this battle. As the adventure in the netherworld went on, he comes across enigmatic forces, hounding sounds, fearful creatures, merciless vultures, asurs, elves, titans, all possible negative forces in all possible forms. And surprising pity is that one who is to be saved and uplifted, that very being opposes the savior. The merciful God goes on fighting till the entire falsehood is erased and the humanity is saved. Ultimately, the Lord's labor surmounts all opposites, and the dream, packed in silver air between gold and blue, are realized. This vision of Sri Aurobindo shows us the entire evolutionary process step by step. The whole experiment by the Supreme for his Leela is narrated by Sri Aurobindo and presented to us. What a wonderful gift from him. Though unknown to us, but in reality, an effective and constant grace of the Lord is narrated with authority by Sri Aurobindo. We do not know, we are not aware. but we are constantly being protected by the Lord. We are constantly being loved by the Lord. First, there is a jewel dream to build the bridge, then resolution to lift the toiling material world, then planning and assessment of the enemy, then decision to act, then actual actions, that is fighting, then facing opposition from falsehood and dark forces, and even by humanity, still fighting continued, then allurement by the mischievous Satan, then escapism by the dark forces, then submission and finally victory over all negative forces, a realization of dream. Such are the stages depicted from first stanza to the last stanza of this evergreen poem. We may say it is an action thriller poem. Now one is confronted with many questions. After this, what is that? How long this battle will go on? Is it since the manifestation of material worlds? Is it during the tapasya of Aurobindo and the mother? Is it still going on? How long? How we can participate consciously? How we may not oppose the divine labor? How we may enjoy by joining the adventure and sacrificial work of the Lord? I leave these questions to my open-minded friends here present. So these are the things, so wonderfully, it's very famous of Aurobindo's poetry, one of the poetries, and it brings us joy. I express here a very deep devotion and intense gratitude to laboring God, that is Aurobindo and the mother. Thank you very much for the patience hearing. Om Anandamayi Chaitanyamayi Satyamayi Parme.